and welcome back to my channel. If you guys don't already know, I'm a wildlife biologist in the Pacific Northwest studying the impact that humans have on carnivores and wildlife habitat. So I get a lot of questions about how I specifically started working with carnivores in general and how you go about specializing in the sciences. Specialization means focusing in on one specific field of study, and it's really common to have a specialization when you are studying science. Science is such a broad subject that you can't know everything about one topic. So that's why you pick one topic or two topics or three topics where you are a specialist in. So that allows you to delve further into one field of study, and it allows you to kind of align your interests more closely with what you're most interested in. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how I picked my specialization and how I actually even became a specialist in that field, and how you guys are able to pick a field that you're really interested in and go down that path. One choice you have to make when you are deciding to become a specialist is when you are going to specialize. As you've probably seen in my majors video, which I'll link to above and in the description box below if you haven't already seen it, there are a few reasons why you don't want to specialize too early. That's one, because it's going to rope you into a career field that you might not even like once you get started in it. Two, it's hard to call yourself an expert of something if you haven't studied the core sciences and maths and physics and all of those courses first. So you kind of have to know a lot of base work first before you can become a specialist. Three, because specializing is limiting your job abilities, and that's a big downside to becoming too much of a specialist. So there's two different ways to specialize in one scientific topic. Those two ways are specializing through your education or two, specializing through your experience. To give an example, I specialized through my experience. My undergrad degree was in ecology, so that's a pretty broad career field, and I never really took too many courses actually in large carnivore ecology, and I didn't go to grad school, so I'm a little bit of an anomaly where I had no educational specialization. I specialized in experience. So every time I had an opportunity, I always picked the opportunity when possible that focused on large carnivores. And that started out with my undergrad thesis. I picked my undergrad thesis on the impact that human recreation has on large carnivores, particularly big cats. I was able to find an internship where I was working with big cat management with the government, and I had another internship where I was also working at a big cat sanctuary. So by starting some form of specialization in my undergrad, that allowed me to get the job that I have today. I'm sure there's some people who would recommend specializing through education first in order to land opportunities that will allow you to specialize through your experience. But I've done it the other way around, and I found that it's just helped my marketability, and it helps me kind of get through the rough patches, the layoffs, because I always did have that more generalist degree that I was able to put on my resume, and I was able to spin my specialist experience as more generalist experience when I was applying to jobs that were outside of my specialty. I know this is confusing. There is one more layer to add on to this: master's degree and PhDs. So what is the case most of the time is to become a true expert in your field, a true specialist in one specific species, you're almost always going to have to get a graduate degree in that field. A graduate degree is going to teach you the research skills in order to contribute to the research in your specialization. And just due to the fact that most jobs that focus in on one specific species or one specific type of animal are generally going to be higher level expert jobs, and those require a master's or a PhD degree. So if you are someone who's just absolutely set on being a wolf biologist and you're not really too interested in the other parts of ecology, you really don't want to work any other job but being a wolf biologist, one, I encourage you to try to challenge those beliefs because it's a very competitive field, but also two, get ready for advanced graduate degrees because you're going to need them, because if you want to focus in that specific to one species, yeah, you're going to need to specialize in your education and your experience to land those competitive jobs. In graduate school, you'll want to pick thesis work that aligns with where you want to specialize in. So for an example, when you do a thesis-based graduate program, you're going to have to narrow in on one specific type of science. If you want to be a wolf biologist, for example, you'll want to pick a research lab where the professors are interested in topics regarding landscape ecology, carnivores, human-wildlife interactions. All of those will support a thesis in studying wolves. And here's a tip that no one ever told me. When I say lab, I don't mean like a laboratory with like people in lab coats all the time. A lab can also just refer to a group of research students that are united under one principal investigator or PI, who is usually a professor at that university. Once you pick your research subject, then you are going to be conducting research on that specific species, or maybe that specific ecosystem, or that ecosystem process. Whatever you pick your research on, you're going to be doing literature reviews of your field of specialization. You're developing that knowledge of your specialized field. That's going to help specialize you in your graduate student world. Do you have to specialize? No. You can stay a generalist. Some people love being generalists, and in some ways there can be more job opportunities for people who get a wide variety of experience. For example, in Canada, each region of the province that I live in has an ecosystems biologist. That ecosystems biologist is responsible for maintaining the ecology and the scientific knowledge of the region that they represent. So budget means that they can't have one fish biologist, one wolf biologist, one caribou biologist. Instead, they have one biologist that's the ecosystems expert. And that's an example of a job that a more generalist in ecology might do. A job like that, they're not going to really want to hire someone who has experience in only one field to work across all fields. They want someone who has dabbled in many different types of experience. That's a benefit of being a generalist. A little bit more about my experience. I always was interested in big cats from the beginning. So I always just sprung for those opportunities. If I was gonna go back and do it again, I would have loved to study big cats in graduate school, but that opportunity wasn't available for me. But I was able to use my specialization through my experience in order to land the job that I have today, working with large carnivores. That said, I don't work exclusively with large carnivores. I work with all different wildlife, and I even work within the field of ecology in general. So that is a-okay with me, and I'm somewhere, I wouldn't call myself a very specific specialist. I do a lot of different things, but I'm also not quite a generalist, so I'm somewhere in between. So that's okay too. You don't have to decide early, but it's just something to maybe get on your radar. If you are unsure and this is overwhelming, don't worry. You don't need to pick a specialization ever. You can choose to pick one early if you're really interested in one specific topic and you really want to work towards that. But if you don't pick something, it's all good. Don't stress about it. Follow your passion, follow what you're interested in, get a wide variety of experience in all different types of science, and then something in there will glimmer out as better than and more interesting than everything else. And that could be something to maybe start thinking about studying a bit more in depth. If you guys want to see more videos like this one, click the subscribe button below. I would really appreciate it. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.